The federal prosecutors described Sean Diddy Combs' enterprise, Combs Enterprise, as his kingdom. And I'm going to show you guys the latest updates on the Sean Diddy Combs trial. And we're going to go through this information really quick. And I'm going to show you guys what's going on in court. And you guys make your own determinations based on the information that's presented. And we only get the information that we get from these articles because there's no cameras in the courtroom. But I want to show you guys what's going on, what these prosecutors have to say. And even the way they worded this, I thought it was very interesting spiritually. Also, as an update, Diddy and his son have a new lawsuit together now. And I think that people are starting to go after Diddy's sons for the same things that they went after his dad for, their dad for. Because there's a new lawsuit about a gang RAPE that involves his son. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you guys the reports on that. And I'm going to show you what Diddy's lawyers did in court that was a huge mistake that the judge actually had to go back and talk to the jury. And I think it was like 3 mistakes actually that were pointed out during closing arguments that the judge had to go back and say to the jury, hey, everything they just said, that was a problem. That was wrong. And the judge chastised Diddy's lawyers for that, which I think is a horrible position to be in at this stage in the case, at this stage in the trial, because you don't want to be making no mistakes during closing arguments, which is what Diddy's lawyers did. So I'm going to show you guys what happened with that, and we're going to get into a little bit of a breakdown from a lawyer that we've been watching follow this case, and then we'll get into our community hour, man. So you guys know how we do. Every time we do the live streams, you guys know how to do is subscriber-only comment sections. And if you're not a subscriber, you're not going to be able to be in the chat. We always start every live stream with a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for another day, God. We opened so many gifts this morning that we don't even thank you for or consider. And we want to take time right now to just stop and thank you for the presence of mind, the ability in our limbs, God, and the peace that we walk through the day with, knowing that you are the King of all kings and the Lord of all lords. God, I ask that you bless anybody that's listening and their family, their loved ones, and their children. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, man. You guys know how to do. Keep it respectful in the chat. Let's get into this information. And if you got a question or comment you want me to put on screen, send it to the super chat and we'll put it on screen. So the latest update on what the prosecutors has said, they did their closing statements and they revealed this whole kingdom, and they kind of put all the pieces together. And when I say kingdom, that's their words, right? So let's just give a quick recap of what the prosecution said in their closing argument, and then we'll get into some of the later information. Now, this is a report from the New York Times. They're in the courtroom, obviously, and they gave us a summary of what the federal prosecutors did and the kingdom that they described Diddy built. It says a federal prosecutor summed up the government's case against the music mogul on Thursday, weaving strands of evidence from his 7-week trial on trafficking, racketeering, to portray him as the head of a criminal enterprise who, quote, used his power, violence, and fear to get what he wanted. The prosecutor, Christy Slavic, focused much of her closing argument on the methods Mr. Combs used to coerce 2 women he dated, right? So it was Cassie, and it was another woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane. We know that. We've been watching the case. If you've been watching the case, you know that. He coerced them to sleep with hired men while he watched drug-fueled sessions known as freak-offs, hotel nights, and wild king nights. The prosecution said proving the women were coerced into the freak-off was enough for the trafficking convictions. A key point of contention has been whether Diddy coerced the 2 women at the heart of the case into sleeping with these hired men, and if they were willing participants. In cross-examinations during the trial, the defense highlighted text messages in which the women expressed enthusiasm and excitement. So Diddy's lawyers are saying they wanted to do this. I think that's a mistake in itself, trying to keep going with the consent defense when the people that said that are accused, or the victims that are alleged, are on the stand saying we weren't consent, we didn't consent. Why do you keep going with the consent defense? I understand that because it's really hard to prove a victim a liar. We watched this with the Tory Lanez case with Meg Thee Stallion. I think Tory Lanez is 100% innocent. But when you got the victim on the stand saying, yes, he did it, it's going to be really hard to win at trial. Anyways, the prosecutor clarified for the jurors that the government is not arguing. The government is not arguing that all of the nights with the male escorts constitute trafficking. She said the women had initially been willing to engage to please Diddy, but later they became unwilling participants who complied either because they feared he would hurt them physically or cut them off financially. Me personally, my personal belief, I kind of agree with that. It seems like that to me, at least from the outside looking in. It seems like they was with it. They thought they were going to get something out of it. The minute that they didn't get what they thought they were going to get out of it, Diddy started hanging it over their head like, bro, I'm not going to pay your bills. You're not going to be able to do this. Or I'm going to beat the brakes off you if you don't keep going, right? One of the prostitutes that testified even said that he was sleeping with Cassie, and Cassie didn't want something to happen, and he heard Diddy in the other room beating Cassie up, and then she came running, sprinting back into the room, and was like, okay. And he said that he heard Cassie screaming, "Okay, I'll do it right this time. I'm sorry, I'll do it right this time." And then she came sprinting back in the room and jumped on the prostitute. And that was in the testimony that he gave during this trial. The prosecutor said if there's one time, one single freak off that the jurors find were the product of force, threats of force, fraud, or coercion, Mr. Combs should be found guilty of sex trafficking. That's the law. So she's going by the legal definition. To underscore her point, she laid out several examples for each woman, right? So she went to June 2024 when the Jane Doe and Diddy physically fought before he directed her to sleep with an escort. So she got on the stand, the Jane Doe got on the stand and said, Diddy beat me up, and then he told me I had to sleep with a prostitute right after. When somebody get on the stand and say that, I don't know why. Maybe they don't have no other defense except the consent, but I think it's just a bad defense. We'll get into that though. So that was one instant. Obviously, the hotel video with Cassie getting beat up, the prosecutors, the government used that to say this is an example of what happens when somebody tries to defy Diddy. You get the brakes beat off you like this video, right? And then they laid out their theory of how Diddy's employees operated as this criminal enterprise, which they call his criminal kingdom. And so the report says that the prosecutor's summation in the morning was devoted to arguing that Diddy did not merely lead a typical celebrity entourage, but instead his enterprise was responsible for years of crimes, which is racketeering. To convict Diddy on the racketeering charges, jurors need to find that he knowingly joined an unlawful conspiracy and that Mr. Combs agreed that he or a co-conspirator would commit at least 2 criminal acts on that list to further the enterprise, right? So basically, in layman's terms, what that means is if you did 2 crimes as a group, that's a criminal enterprise. So if you beat her up and then you paid somebody to go put her on a plane to a hotel over here so nobody would see that she was injured, that's a criminal enterprise. Which all these things that I'm about to say, Diddy has been testified against. People have come to the stand and say, yes, I'm the one that did this. If you paid somebody to go get drugs to bring them back from California to Florida, which is what Diddy did, paid an employee from his legal enterprise, go get drugs from California, bring them back to Florida so we can have these freak offs because I need the prostitutes to be high. All those things are multiple crimes, and you're using multiple people in a group to do it. That's why they're going with the conspiracy. So Ms. Slavic, the prosecutor, said that Diddy had a loyal inner circle of Mr. Combs' employees to carry out various crimes over more than a decade, most of them aimed at facilitating freak-offs and covering them up. Those crimes, she said, include drug distribution, kidnapping, arson, bribery, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution, and forced labor. So those are all the things. And that's the list that the jurors only had to find Diddy guilty of 2 of those. So they could pick any 2 of them out and say, yes, you had a group of people commit these 2 crimes. I'm going to read those again real quick. So those crimes would be any of these. Think about this. Any of these 2 crimes. And you guys let me know in the chat. if you feel like the prosecution proved that Diddy did any of these two things with a group of people, right? Those crimes include drug distribution, kidnapping, arson, bribery, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution, and forced labor. I don't think anybody is going to say that Diddy didn't do forced labor. I think everybody knows Diddy have a reputation of being kind of crazy when it comes to making people work. Also, that's a lot of. So even if you don't believe the trafficking, like let's say you don't believe Cassie, you think Jane Doe was lying, all that, you can't really argue with the interstate transportation for prostitution because the prostitutes got on the stand and said, yes, I'm the prostitute that he brought from out of state and paid. And they even had numbers, receipts. Like, you can't really argue the drug distribution because the people that was bringing the drugs in and out, they even listed the names of the drug dealers, right? So like some of this stuff is like, I really can't argue that. If you don't believe the arson, like, okay, I don't know if he had anything to do with the Kid Cudi thing. You can't really argue the bribery because you had the hotel staff that he got the Cassie video from. They came to court, testified, and said, yes, he paid me $100,000 to get that tape to him and to cover it up. So some of this stuff is like, you can't argue it. I don't know how he beats that case. I don't know how his lawyers thought he could beat this case. The prosecutor identified several employees as being part of Diddy's enterprise, none of which have been charged with the crime or testified. These employees included Christina Karam, Diddy's former chief of staff, often known as KK, a group of his security officers, D-Rock, Fahim Muhammad, Uncle Paulie, and Roger Bonds. Examples of the drug distribution alone, the prosecution argued, were sufficient evidence to convict Diddy on the racketeering charges because she said the trial testimony had established that he directed his employees to transport drugs several times for use in the sex sessions. And also, they named a list of lower tier employees, but they named them. These are the ones that got immunity and did testify are the lower tier employees. These were assistants, young people that, they were 22 when Diddy hired them and different things like that. Said the evidence also shows instances of kidnapping by the group, the prosecution told the jury. Cassie, for instance, was taken to a hotel to heal after a beating that Diddy put on her and spent more than a week there, watched over by members of Diddy's staff to ensure she did not leave. Ms. Slavic also said that Christina Karam, and D-Rock were involved in bribing the hotel security officer to obtain incriminating security footage that showed Diddy assaulting Cassie. Said, now this is where it's kind of crazy. Diddy was accused of tampering with witnesses. So here's a part that the prosecution laid out. Said Mr. Combs tampered with 2 witnesses after settling a lawsuit, the prosecution said. For the first time, the jurors heard details of the allegations that Mr. Combs, Diddy, had committed witness tampering and obstruction, one of the 8 potential crimes that are part of his racketeering charge. Ms. Slavic, the prosecutor, provided 2 allegations connected with women who had testified under pseudonyms during the trial. The prosecutor said that Cassie filed her bombshell lawsuit that precipitated the criminal investigation. If you guys go back and watch when Cassie filed her lawsuit about a year ago, when I did that video, I told you guys that's what kicked off this whole thing. That lawsuit. I said it back then. What I said was, I believe that Diddy's going to be arrested, and I think that the feds are going to use Cassie as the #1 star witness. Go back and watch it. It's a year ago I did that. I don't know which one, but it's there. Anyways, shortly after Diddy settled the lawsuit with Cassie, he called Jane Doe twice, in an effort to feed a false narrative that Jane was a willing participant in the marathons with male escorts in the hotel room. So the prosecution told the jury, hey, after Cassie exposed Diddy called up this Jane Doe that testified, and he started bribing her to say, hey, say this was consensual so Cassie looked crazy. You get what I'm saying? Which is like a true narcissist tactic. I got to get everybody on my side to make you look like you the problem. You feel me? But so the Jane Doe then kind of exposed them too. Like, oh, you trying to get me on your side? Now I'm gonna expose you. I'm on her side too. And then it was like, dang. So the jury heard recordings of the calls in which Diddy described the kinky encounters that I thought we both enjoyed. In the second call, this is when Diddy was witness tampering, allegedly. It says, in the second call, he told her, I really need your friendship right now, and assured her that if she needed him too, she ain't got to worry about nothing else. Around that same time, he texted an employee to ensure that Jane's rent was still being paid. So this was the manipulation. Like, keep her close, keep doing the free calls with her, keep her close, because I need somebody on my side when I go to trial to, say that Cassie was lying. And then this woman turned on him too. So, and that kind of answers the question, why is Diddy still paying her rent, even though she's testifying against him? That was a manipulation tactic. Like, bro, just keep her happy. Anyways, the prosecutor said that Mr. Combs also tampered with Mia, one of his former assistants. Mia testified that after Cassie's lawsuit, a bodyguard known as D-Rock called her and began to discuss Mrs. Ventura's relationship with Mr. Combs, saying something to the effect of they would just fight like a normal couple. Right? And Mia said D-Rock sounded nervous and said Mr. Combs missed her. Mr. Combs, Diddy, tried calling her, but she did not pick up. That's what Mia said. Later, as Mr. Combs' legal troubles were deepening, D-Rock texted her and said, let me know how I can send you something, and she declined. Wise move. Wise move. So that was kind of a summary and a recap somewhat, and we did a more in-depth dive on everybody that was involved on yesterday's live stream, so you guys go check that out. But I want to kind of move forward and get into some of this newer information. For example, I think actually I'll hold this for us. Well, let's just go through this real quick. There's a report going around that Diddy and his son Justin are accused of luring a woman to a LA hotel or LA where she was allegedly gang raped. You guys see the word. It says Diddy and Justin Combs have been accused in a new lawsuit of luring a woman from Louisiana to LA where she was raped by his father and two other masked men. The lawsuit filed claims that Justin used his father's celebrity status to lure the woman, and she's identified as Jane Doe right now. And he lured her to LA allegedly with promises of a TV job in 2017. Instead, she was held prisoner for a weekend, given drugs and alcohol, and then raped. This lawsuit was filed against Diddy, his son, and his companies, claiming that the assault and battery, gender violence, and negligent supervision. There was all those things. The lawsuit demands a jury trial and the payment of damages including for future and past lost earnings. Combs' team obviously denied the allegations in the suit, saying no matter how many lawsuits are filed, it won't change the fact that Mr. Combs has never assaulted or trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor. I think that's a Freudian slip because, bro, nobody said that this wasn't trafficking. They said that she just, anyways. Said we live in a world where anyone could file a lawsuit for any reason. Fortunately, a fair and impartial judicial process exists to find the truth, and Mr. Combs is confident that he will prevail in court. I guess Justin Combs allegedly contacted her through Snapchat. The two messaged back and forth, and had discussed her desire for a career in the entertainment industry. The woman then sent risky photos at Justin's request. That same day, he offered to fly her out to LA for the weekend. She was living in New Orleans at the time. Justin said that the trip to LA would be helpful for a potential career, and he would get her a position with Revolt TV in Atlanta through his father's connections. Once the Jane Doe flew to LA, she was picked up with a black SUV taken to the house that Justin called the Glass House in Beverly Hills. The complaint said that Jane was surprised that she and Justin remained in the home talking that night and following day, which frustrated her as she thought they would go out. When asked if they were going to leave, Justin abruptly said no. A lot of this, by the way, on the side note, a lot of these stories sound exactly how the R. Kelly stories was sounding before he got convicted. Like, oh, he was promising that she was going to be a singer and he was going to give her a career, and that's what this stuff be sounding like. Justin ordered them liquor, marijuana, which Jane believed was lace. He then offered her various pills and poppers throughout the day. After she and Justin took the drugs, 3 other men arrived at the house, all wearing masquerade masks. Jane recognized one of them as Sean Combs, due in part to his stature, mannerisms, but also because Justin referred to him on at least one occasion as Pops. She says she didn't recognize the other two men. She was then taken to a bedroom and told, "You better let this happen or else." Then each man took turns on Jane as she was drugged and incapacitated. The brutal gang RAPE of the plaintiff continued on Saturday evening through at least midday Sunday, with the three men continuing to take turns abusing her. Throughout the weekend and afterwards, Justin held over the plaintiff's head the possibility of a job that never materialized, along with the photo she had sent him on Snapchat, which he had saved and could release at his pleasure. She suffered emotional distress, fear, anxiety, physical injury, emotional injury, blah, blah, blah. So that's pretty much the summation of the lawsuit that Diddy's sons faced. And I knew that Diddy's sons was going to be going through some of this stuff. Obviously, especially if Diddy gets a long time in jail, like everybody going to come forward and say his sons was a part of that too. And they're going to have an uphill battle to fight with that too. I don't think it ends with Diddy. I think that it's going to keep going. You know what I'm saying? Let's hear what this lawyer had to say real quick as an update on the case, because I think he's given a great he's really done a great job of just following this trial and giving us updates. So I just want to hear what he has to say now as the trial goes on, and let's get back into the with the latest from court today after that.
Good morning. The closing arguments of the defense are about to start in the Diddy trial. Yesterday, the United States of America finished their closing argument. People are asking, how do you think they did? Here's the thing about closing arguments. You cannot make a determination if you're not there, if you don't watch it, if you do not see it, if you're not hearing it. However, in reading what the United States presented, I believe the strongest thing that was said was the United States said, look, if you don't believe these young ladies, if you don't believe everything they're said, but if you think one time, just one time, they did not want this to happen, that's enough for sex trafficking. This guy's the king of this organization, and one time, one person saying no is enough. What they did is they focused on the no means no, even if it is said one. I think that's the strongest thing that they went with. They said, how about for one rib? They said one means one means no. So people have asked, if you were the defense, how would you do a closing argument? If it was me and I was the defense attorney in this case, probably the first thing that I would do, stand up, and I probably would look at the jury and I'd do the following. I'd like to tell you all a story. I'd like you to tell you a story about a young man. You probably can picture him, khaki pants, graduated from Stanford University, horn-rimmed glasses, beautiful wavy hair, accounting major. Picture him with his white shirt, probably got a little light mustard stain on it. Family absolutely loves him. Good young man, post on Instagram all the time about his lovely relationship with his beautiful girlfriend who lives across the country. You see them, she's wearing her Lily Pulitzer dress as they're holding hands, walking back and forth, flying one another to see each other over and over time. Well, this relationship, they get together and they visit from time to time. He calls her on the cell phone and says, I want you to come visit me. And she does, and he comes and visits her. And then when the door shuts and people aren't watching and Instagram's not on and we can't see everything, they're in their bedroom. And they're engaged in a sexual relationship that maybe you don't approve of, or maybe you do. They do things that you would be like, oh my God, that shocks the conscience of what they do. But that's their relationship. They have an inappropriate relationship in their bedroom, according to you, but not according to them. They send each other pictures back and forth of each other because that's the relationship they're engaged in. They fight like couples fight, and they say things to each other that maybe you would be embarrassed about. They yell and say things, but after they get done, after they yell, after they scream, after maybe they hit each other, they make up, they kiss, they text each other. They text each other back and forth about their relationship from time to time. Well, then this couple who goes through hard times, good times, bad times, strange sexual fetishes, if you will, break up. And he doesn't see her for some time. And he gets in a relationship with another girl, and the cycle keeps going of this relationship that they love each other and they fight and they go back and forth, and he introduces her to the things that he enjoys and she enjoys them too because they love each other. And the things that these two relationships have in common are the text messages that they talk to each other about, the good times, the bad times, and so forth. And then that first girl just starts getting mad over the breakup. The relationship is ended. She's angry about it. And then one day she realizes, I want some money out of this.
Yeah.
I want a lawsuit out of this. And she convinced the United States of America that, now, you know what? Go get it. And then the second girl sees this and says, wait a minute. My relationship was like the first. I can get paid to too. Go get him.
Hit the like button.
You ask, well, who is this couple? I don't know, because it could be any of us. Today, I'm going to ask you to do something that the United States is not going to ask you. I'm going to ask you to do something crazy. I'm going to ask you to follow the law and not your emotions. Because the United States of America, with all their power, all their money, all their wisdom, what they have asked you to do today is very simple. They've asked you to decide this case based upon emotions. That's why they have showed you this awful, this abhorrent, this disgusting video of Sean at his worst possible moment, beating on a woman, abusing a woman. And it is true, he did it. And if he was on trial for that today, he'd be guilty of it. And that's why I'm asking you to follow the law and not the motions, because that's what the government is ignoring today, the law. That's why they have shown you these videos. That's why they have showed you these private text messages. That's why they have gone into the private bedrooms of citizens, because now Big Brother is officially watching. And Big Brother is now punishing us for innocent behavior that they may not like, but happens all over America. They are punishing us for the actions of Sean at his worst. Actions that he has discussed with his girlfriend, that they have texted back and forth about, that he has apologized for, that she has forgiven him for, that she has intentionally joined in. So again, I'm asking you to follow the law, not your emotions. And in following the law, what'll be very interesting, as you look to your left and you look to your right, and there's RICO conspiracy, you see one person. They keep saying the word conspiracy, but there is one person, Sean. If you cannot tell, and if you cannot look and see what's going on, that this is the United States of America with all their power, all their money, all their wisdom, going after one person and creating a situation in which they can jump into our private bedrooms and start to criminalize legal. Although maybe somebody says they're disgusting, some people say they're normal, but they're his actions with his girlfriend. And what they have done is decided, well, we don't like that. Is that what we're going to start punishing for? We don't like it? So again, all I'm asking you to do is follow the law. And all I'm asking you to do is take that. And I don't know if it'll work, but that's.
So he said that that's what he would have presented if he was Diddy's lawyers. He's not defending Diddy. And he's not saying that he thinks Diddy's going to get off. He's actually been very consistent saying that he thinks Diddy is going to be convicted. But that was a lawyer that explained the best possible scenario for Diddy's lawyers to present to the jury in order to get him off. Not going to happen. Why? Because Diddy's lawyers did begin their closing arguments, and they already making huge mistakes that the judge has reprimanded them for. If Diddy had lawyers as smooth as him, maybe he would have a chance. And I don't know. I don't want to hurt these lawyers' reputation. I don't know what they do outside this case. Maybe they are good lawyers. But in this sense, in this instance, I think that they kind of were fighting and swimming with their hands tied behind their back. Because in their closing arguments, we'll go through it. They kicked off the closing arguments, Diddy's lawyers, with a tale of two trials. First, there's the trial that's told by the witnesses, the text messages, and the videos. That's what Diddy's lawyer said. This is a tale of two trials. The first one is told by the witnesses, the text, and the videos. The second trial is a trial told by the mouth of the prosecutors. Bro, what? What are you talking about? I just don't think that's a great way to start. This is two trials. The witnesses, the evidence, the text messages, the videos, and then it's the prosecutors. No, bro. Everybody's looking at the evidence. There is no two trials. There's only one trial. We're looking at the evidence. Anyways, Diddy's lawyer said that I submit to you, this is a false trial. This is an exaggerated trial. This is not a real trial. Sounds like a Trump statement. Low key. That's how Trump was. If Trump was a lawyer. As for what he said is the first trial, the trial of the evidence. He said that it is about a lifestyle. You want to call it swingers, whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. That's what the evidence shows. This sounds like your uncle defending you. They were swingers. I mean, that's what the evidence showed. That's what this was. It was nothing. Bro, all these people testifying are former employees. Everybody that testified against Diddy, the 15 or 16 people that testified, they not all swingers. So he got into some of Diddy's former employees. Diddy's lawyer said, let's talk about for a second what the evidence shows about Sean Combs. Sean Combs has become something that is very hard to be, very hard to be. He is a self-made, successful black entrepreneur. I'm so tired of that black stuff. Stop. Diddy's lawyer said Combs has created a wonderful, sophisticated, real business that has stood the test of time. It really do sound like Trump is Diddy's lawyer just by reading it. Like picture Trump's voice on what this lawyer's words is saying. That's what makes me laugh a little bit. And I'm not a Trump hater at all. But I just think it's funny to hear Trump. If I'm listening to it with Trump's voice a little bit, because it's the way he keep repeating. Like Sean Combs has become something that is very, very, very hard to be. Very hard to be. This is like the real sentence. He's a self-made, successful black entrepreneur. Hey, by the way, when you was in college or high school and you had to write the essay that was 5 pages and you said, I'm gonna just put very, 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 very as my and then repeat the same sentence. Sean Combs has become something that is very, very, very hard to be, and then say very hard to be again as a separate sentence. Very hard to be. A successful self-made black entrepreneur, Combs has created a wonderful, sophisticated, real business that has stood the test of time. He recounted the positive things of Diddy, he recounted the positive things some of Combs' former employees said about him in their testimony earlier in the trial. Did they always like him? No way. Let's not even go there. But they loved him. They didn't want to leave him. Right? That's what Diddy's lawyer said. I don't know how that helps his case. I don't know how that's a good start, but okay. Diddy's defense attorney praised Sean Diddy Combs for the businesses that he built, businesses that focused on diversity. The defense attorney said that Combs was practicing diversity, equity, inclusion, known as DEI, before it was even a mandated practice. Well, he's black, so of course. What does that have to do with this case? Said he was doing this in 1993 at 24 years old by himself. It's like Diddy's lawyer is trying to lean into, with his statements, trying to lean into Diddy's celebrity and what he has accomplished, rather than focusing on the case. I don't like that. If I'm a jury member, I'll be like, bro, what are you talking about right now? Said no witnesses said they were part of a racketeering conspiracy. Because before I even get to that, you're not going to convince people that Diddy is a good person at this point. If you're Diddy's lawyer, I don't know what delusion they living in, but you're not about to convince nobody on that jury that Diddy is just some regular employee. Bro, they didn't watch 15,000 hours of him stepping on women's face and beating off in the corner while the prostitute is taking advantage of his girlfriends. They didn't watch him beat the brakes off of women multiple times on videos. They said yesterday, I reported it, I was reading the article on the live stream, and they said in one instance that Diddy stomped a woman out in an Escalade, like she was on the ground in the truck, and Diddy was like holding on to the seat, stomping her out. You're not going to convince nobody that Diddy is a decent person. So I don't even know why he's going to this. He's a black, successful man. Nobody want to hear that. Who wrote this closing statement? Diddy? Anyways, so after he portrayed Diddy as a DEI pioneer, he said that that it says that the defense attorney balked at the idea that Sean Diddy Combs' business was a racketeering enterprise. He said no witnesses said they were part of a racketeering conspiracy or worked in the enterprise. Who's going to say that, hey, I was a part of a racketeering conspiracy? Who's going to come to court and say that? Of course, they're not going to say that. But they all got immunity, and that says something in itself. They all got immunity to testify. That says we feel like we were part of some criminal stuff. Because I'm not going to testify until I know that I can't go to jail for what I say. Because they know what they did was wrong. Diddy's lawyer said, quote, you didn't hear that from evidence. You didn't hear that from a witness. I don't know what he's talking about. So he went on to say that Diddy takes care of people. Clearly. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo told the jury that 6 of Sean Diddy Combs' 7 kids are in the courtroom along with Combs' mother. The jury should know about Combs' character that this is a man that takes care of people, he said, as a quote. He said, this is the evidence through his relationship with Jane. Combs paid for her home where she takes care of her child. I hope she's having a nice day, but you know where she's doing it, in a house that he's paying for. Bro, that means nothing right now. I don't know what this, let me see in the chat real quick. What are you guys thinking about this? Said the defense had no defense. Yeah, it don't make sense. Said the defense says don't play off of emotions. Also, the defense proceeds to try to defend Diddy by playing off of emotions. Facts. Said he's focused on the accomplishments of Sean Combs, not the bad boy Diddy, who's very guilty. Said, yeah, right. Those 2 separate people, right? That was funny. Said, bro, you focus on Sean Combs. We ain't talking about Sean Combs. We talking about Diddy, bad boy. That's funny. Let's get back to it. Diddy's lawyer mocked the 2024 searches of his homes. Said Diddy's defense attorney sarcastically talked about the searches of Sean Diddy Combs' homes by Homeland Security's investigations in LA and Miami Beach. He said, quote, boxes of Astroglide taken off the streets. Woo, I feel better already. Artificial lubricant, not for me. He said, the streets of America are safe from the Astroglide. Yo, he trying to be funny, but low-key, people do feel that way. Like, all right, it's a good thing that Diddy gone. You know what I mean? People breathing easy because Diddy ain't got that baby oil in hand right now. He said, quote, and they got the baby oil, and they found personal drug use. He said they did it. It's all worth it. Thank goodness for the special response team. They found the Astroglide. They found the baby oil. They found like 5 Valium pills. Way to go, fellas. They also found guns, bro. They also found a bunch of different stuff. Like, but he ain't gonna say that. Obviously, he's doing his defense right now. Said this isn't about crime. This is about money. Diddy's lawyer said. They keep making it about this. Man, this dude he trashed to me. To me, in my opinion, this is a trash defense. Said the defense attorney argued that none of Sean Diddy Combs' alleged victims called law enforcement. He said they do call somebody, though. They call civil plaintiff lawyers. That's who they call. He said this isn't about crime. This is about money. Cassie sued Sean for $30 million because Sean had $30 million. This very investigation came out of that civil case. No $30 million, no lawsuit, no $30 million, no lawsuit, no criminal case. That's why we're here. We're here because of money. I don't care how much money she got. I don't think there's an amount of money that you can keep. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. She did some other stuff, some crazy stuff for money. So I'm not saying Cassie no innocent lamb. But man, how much do you have to hate somebody to get $30 million and still be like, yo, I want to see him in jail for the rest of his life? What did he really do to you? That will be my question. So she must believe whatever they trying to discredit, she must really believe it. You know what I'm saying? Because 30 million and I still want to see him go to jail. So Diddy's defense attorney said, quote, we own the domestic violence. He said that repeatedly. The report says that his lawyer kept saying, we own the domestic violence. We own the domestic violence. He said that they didn't run away from it or challenge the 2 ex-girlfriends who testified against Diddy about this. He said, quote, I don't think we asked her a single question to challenge anything she said about being hit, about being kicked, about being dragged. The issue is domestic violence. He said he then referenced a social media statement made by Cassie after a CNN in 2024 published surveillance video showing this brutal beating in the Intercontinental Hotel in California. The quote from Diddy's lawyer says she was very precise and very clear about what the issue was for her. The issue for her, who was there, domestic violence is the issue. When she says domestic violence is the issue, I'm asking you to believe her. If you're asking us to believe her as Diddy's lawyer saying this, then we have to believe that she felt like she couldn't leave and that she was kidnapped, or she felt like she was coerced, or she felt like if I do anything against his will, I'm going to get the crap beat out of me. which makes Diddy look guilty. So why would he be using that as his closing statement? I just don't think that. I think it's stupid. Oh, we didn't even ask a question about the domestic violence because we're not challenging anything that she said about being hit, kicked, and dragged. Well, if you're not challenging that, then you're not challenging the fact that she wanted to be there. Because that means that she didn't want to be there. And she had two significant reasons to not leave. I'm not laughing at her, but it's like, come on, bro. What are you talking about right now? His lawyers, they didn't do a good job. I'm sorry. They didn't do a good job. I said it the whole case. I just thought they're too arrogant. They're too arrogant. It's almost like they just assume that Diddy's just going to walk. And it's just not the case. You can't assume that this man is just going to get off. Diddy's lawyer said, if you had to pick a winner in this whole thing, it's hard not to pick Cassie. That's his lawyer just said that on the stand. Oh, golly, boy, this is crazy. Said Combs and Victoria was not part of a racketeering conspiracy. It's a real relationship, and they were in love. Cassie's no joke, and that's why he loved her. She matched him. She was like him. Diddy's lawyer called their relationship a, quote, great modern love story. Bro, we just watched this woman get dragged through a hotel as a jury. Put yourself in the jury seat. We just watched all these freak offs, all this drug. We just watched this woman 8 months pregnant get on the stand and testify a week before having her third child. All this horrible stuff, getting peed on, beat up, all kind of craziness. And you're going to come in here and tell us as the jury, quote, their relationship was a, quote, great modern love story. Diddy's lawyer told the jury that they could cry at text messages that Combs and Ventura exchanged professing their love to each other. He said she was always free to leave. She chose to stay because she was in love with him. She's a woman who actually likes sex. Good for her. She's beautiful. She's intense. She's unafraid. They were their best selves when it came to that. They fought when it came to other women. Out of the scores of text messages admitted into the evidence, Diddy's lawyer said you won't find one where she's like, I didn't like that sex and I'm not attracted to you. I don't like this life. It's just not for me. He said, I guess you could call them slingers. I guess you could call it a lifestyle. Defense attorney for Diddy called Cassie a gangster, pointing to the burner phone she used to stay in touch with Kid Cudi. So he argued that the jury should be reminded that Kid Cudi confirmed that Cassie played him. He said, quote, she played him good too. She played both of them. He referenced the prosecution's argument that Ventura was scared of Diddy and said, quote, she lied to him for a long time over and over and over. And as she had another relationship with another singer-songwriter right under his nose, she's not afraid of him. Diddy's lawyer called Ventura a gangster, pointing to the burner phone that she used to stay in touch with Kid Cudi, saying she was trying to pull off lying to both men. Says in terms of Capricorn Clark, one of Diddy's assistants who came and testified against Diddy about a kidnapping allegation and some other stuff that he made her do. Defense attorney for Diddy addressed those allegations and said that she's a little out there. That's how you're going to defend me, bro? The person that came to court and just completely destroyed me, you're just going to be like, yeah, she's a little out there. Bro, say something more. If I'm Diddy, I'm tripping. Clark testified at the trial that she wanted her life back. This is Capricorn Clark right here. The world that Sean Combs created is at the center of. That's the life. The world Sean Combs created and is at the center of. That's the life she wants back. She says she couldn't get work in the industry after leaving Diddy's employment. She acknowledged that she reached out to Combs for work in the years after stopping working for him. And Diddy's lawyer told the jury that Clark had a crush on Combs and wanted a platonic friendship to be more. He recounted Clark's testimony about the lie detector testing when she said a large man 5 times her width threatened to throw her in the East River if she didn't pass the lie detector test. Diddy's lawyer mocked the idea that the prosecutors charged the 2004 kidnapping as an underlying act of the racketeering conspiracy charge. Each day after the hours of testing, Clark said that Diddy's security guards drove her home, said, you're about to be kidnapped, as she was kidnapped. He said, it's unsettling. This is Diddy's lawyer speaking. It's unsettling that That's the whole reason investigators use it. It's unsettling. I have no doubt she was unsettled, but she was not kidnapped. His lawyer then said Diddy had a starring role in Raising in the Sun around the time of the lie detector test. Said he was starring on Broadway. He's involved in the middle of a very significant voter-driven campaign called Vote or Die. He is running all these companies. Do you think he's waiting on the edge of his seat? How's that lie detector test coming back? I can't wait to see if he passes. That's a horrible defense. He couldn't care less. He had nothing to do with it. That's what Diddy's lawyer said. That's a horrible defense because while he was doing all that, he's also on these videos doing all this. He's also in these text messages doing all this. So you trying to use that he was so busy, that when could this possibly happen? You can't say that, bro, because we would have thought he was too busy to be doing a lot of stuff. I'm trying to see this from the jury's perspective. So they addressed the Kid Cudi arson thing and said, and there's a reason I'm going through these because I could skip over all this, but there's a reason because the judge got mad at Diddy's lawyers for bringing this stuff up because all these charges were streamlined. We'll get to that in a second. So I just want to recap on what Diddy's lawyer said before I give you the point where the judge tripped on them. It says the defense attorney knocked Capricorn Clark's credibility and validity of her story. He said that Clark had to lie about the gun. So, excuse me, I skipped something. This is when she said she was kidnapped at gunpoint. And forced to go to Kid Cudi's house to blow up his car and break in his home. And so Diddy's lawyer said that Clark was probably so honored that Combs had finally came to her house for the first time. If he asked her to take a trip to the moon, she'd go, and he knows that. He doesn't need a gun. He pointed out that Kid Cudi testified that Clark didn't mention a gun when she called him that day. Had Capricorn said gun, Kid Cudi would have remembered gun. You're not going to forget gun. Gun's one of the fear words in our language. That's a stupid defense. Kid Cudi also didn't mention a gun to the responding police officer, adding that the officer wrote up the incident as a trespass. Now, he went on to say that Capricorn, he questioned her credibility and validity, and he said that she had to lie about the gun so it didn't seem like she was helping Diddy Combs. She doesn't want to give the impression that she's part of this of her own volition. So he acknowledged that the responding police officer caught the Escalade license plate that was linked to Combs' company. That's racketeering, bro. You went over here, you was in the area of a crime, we got your license plate, we could put two and two together. Diddy's lawyer said after the incident shows that Combs is a, quote, a fighter who is looking for a good old-fashioned fist fight to confront Kid Cudi. So it would be out of character for Combs to plot a car bombing. There's no evidence that he had anything to do with the Porsche. That's such a stupid defense because you're putting him at the scene of the crime. You're saying, yeah, he went over there to fist fight him. But in the beginning, during the trial, you were saying that Diddy wasn't even there, and we can't even. You see how stupid, like, during the trial, I'm going to give you guys a recap if you wasn't paying attention, because it's a long trial. During the trial, Diddy's lawyers tried to argue that Diddy wasn't even there at Kid Cudi's home because nobody saw him. And then a LAPD officer came to court and said, yeah, we saw Diddy's truck, but we couldn't put two and two together. We didn't know that he was a part of some arson or some craziness at this guy's house. It's just, we just ran the license plate because it was a black truck driving by and we were responding to the location that the 911 call was placed from. And so then the LAPD officer went on to say he went to try to get information about this case and evidence and follow up about the case later on. And Diddy had allegedly paid somebody in the LAPD to get rid of the evidence. So he couldn't follow up. So now Diddy's lawyers in closing statements saying, yeah, he was over there, but it was just for a fist fight. Bro. So I'm going to just skip to the next part of it. The hotel security was not a bribery under the law. So Diddy's lawyers is trying to say that wasn't a bribery when Diddy paid $100,000 to Eddie Garcia, who worked as a security officer at the Intercontinental Hotel back when the Cassie video had just happened. And this Eddie Garcia, the security officer, came to court, testified that Combs gave him $100,000 in cash to obtain the surveillance footage. Also, Israel Flores, who was a security official at the hotel, testified that Combs also handed him a stack of cash as a bribe following the altercation. But for some reason, Diddy's lawyer is trying to say that it wasn't a bribery legally. Now, this is obviously they were trying to circumvent bad publicity. But he says it was not a bribe under relevant law because there was no law enforcement investigation. And Combs wasn't trying to hide a law enforcement or hinder a law enforcement investigation. Diddy's lawyer said police were nowhere near the situation at the hotel, and Ventura did not want police involvement. He said law enforcement only came hours later to an apartment because Diddy was banging on her door. Diddy's lawyer referenced Combs' repeated attempts to reach Ventura after she left the hotel. He's calling her and she's freezing him out. He says he was trying to get her attention. So, like, that's a silly defense too, bro. Oh well, because the police weren't called, it's not technically bribery yet. Like as if the jury is toddlers and they can't put 2 and 2 together. So Diddy's in terms of the witness tampering, the defense suggested that the government misled the jury when suggesting that D-Rock, the former head of security for Diddy, was trying to give Mia money to influence her. He then showed text that they seen earlier in the trial from a conversation between Mia and D-Rock where she told him she was out of money. D-Rock responded, offering her help if she needed it, right? So Diddy's family is obviously in court, and that's kind of the full. Well, that's not the full. Let me finish this up. So this is where the judge started tripping, and the prosecutors kind of brought it to his attention, and the judge was like, "Okay, yeah, you're right." And this is where Diddy's lawyers made a mistake. It says when they return, the judge tells the jurors they should not consider the prosecutor's charging decisions. Before the break, because the jury took a little break and came back, said before the break, the prosecutors asked the judge to give curative instructions to the jury regarding 3 issues in Diddy's lawyer's closing argument. She said that Diddy's lawyer improperly asked the jury to consider why the prosecutors had charged a particular racketeering predicate and stated the Intercontinental video to show that the Intercontinental video, the hotel video of Cassie, is a misdemeanor assault. She said that they improperly suggested that Diddy was charged with crimes like arson and kidnapping when they're actually included as predicates of the racketeering count. The feds are genius, yo. The feds are really smart. Like, they're really, really good at what they do. So basically what she was trying to say is, to make it a little simpler, what she's trying to say is, why is Diddy's lawyer focusing on, why is he trying to turn the jury's attention as if we're charging Diddy with arson and kidnapping and all this other stuff? We're not even talking about that no more. Because you remember they took those charges off and they said, we're going to streamline these all into the racketeering. So these ain't the charges that he's facing. These are predicates of the racketeering count. These are just like subcharges that prove the racketeering. But why are you focusing on arson and kidnapping as if that's what we're focused on? You're trying to distract the jury is what the prosecutor was trying to tell the judge. And they said that was illegal. The judge then said that those issues, that Diddy's lawyers brought up were, quote, grossly improper, particularly the one questioning charging decision. The judge said he would give the jury a curative instruction addressing that issue. So when the jury came back, the judge told them there was a suggestion in the defense's closings that they should consider the prosecution's charging decisions. He said it would be improper for you to consider such matters in your deliberations, and you should disregard those comments. So basically, Diddy's lawyer is going off the rail, talking about stuff that Diddy is not even charged for. He's trying to distract you. The judge told the jury, don't even consider nothing that he just said. Everything that he just wasted his time saying, ignore it. He has to talk about what Diddy's charged with moving forward. And then Diddy's lawyers were able to continue the closing arguments. This is actually, it's just silly. It's just silly. Like, Diddy's lawyers is just, they don't know what else to do. They don't know what else to do. It's just, I don't know, man. I think they just like, man, we got to collect this bag, and they probably wished that Diddy would take the plea deal, so they wouldn't have to go through all this. So, let's see what they talking about right here. So Diddy's lawyer went back to the topic of Mia, who testified under that pseudonym and recounted multiple alleged incidents of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. Said Mia testified with a false persona, Diddy's lawyer said. He said the bubbly person in the birthday video that the jury watches Mia's true personality, and Mia falsely testified that Combs assaulted her. He said this was not unwanted sexual contact. Mia testified that Combs did these assaults on multiple occasions. She testified that he RAPED her, and on another occasion forced her to perform oral on him. Diddy's lawyer told the jury that Diddy and her had consensual contact, and that the jury should believe that because they saw a text from Combs to Mia when he threatened to tell Cassie about it. So he keeps trying to ride this like consent defense. But my thing is, if 10 people are saying the same thing about you, bro, not all 10 are lying. If 3 people are saying, hey, he did this to me, he RAPD'd me, right? RAPED me, and he forced me to do this orally, and he did all this. If multiple people keep saying that, I don't know. I know that there's some crazy situations, but there's not like, this is not random people just saying it. These are people that they have evidence. Man, it's a lot of information. So Diddy's lawyer then showed the jury a photo of Mia posted of a group of people, including the employees like Christina Crom, members of the security team. So Diddy's lawyer said, think of a word or phrase that comes to mind when you see this picture. Joy, family, home, belonging, racketeering enterprise. This is your racketeering enterprise, folks. So that's what he said. Let's see what the new updates are. And it seems like he just continued to say, I'm just reading through this kind of quick. I'll just finish with this one. Said the freak-offs were part of the swinger lifestyle, not trafficking. Diddy's defense attorney said that the sex life of Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie was just not sex trafficking. It's his girlfriend, he said. I suppose you could traffic your girlfriend if you sell her into prostitution, which we see all the time in the hood. We see that all the time in the hood. It'd be his girlfriend and it'd be his prostitute. He'd be the pimp and she'd be the prostitute, and it's his girlfriend too. That's all the time. So I don't know. Maybe it's just because I come from that kind of environment. I come from poverty, so I've seen that a lot growing up. It said that there was no suggestion that Diddy was making money off of his freak-offs. The freak-offs were described as encounters between her and male entertainers in hotel rooms. Diddy's lawyer said, quote, they are swingers. They are avowedly swingers. This is their lifestyle. He said the evidence was overwhelming that Cassie wanted to participate in the freak-offs, but he gave the jurors a hypothetical situation in which one partner liked a particular act in sex and the other partner didn't, but knew the act made her partner happy. He said, do you still not want to do it, he asked. Where does that land on the I want to do it or I don't want to do it spectrum? When she says, I don't want to do it, that's where it lands. Fool. What are you talking about? Diddy's lawyers reiterated that this is a lifestyle choice. He said, quote, she was ready to go, and God bless her. She is a beautiful, sexy woman, and that's what she deserves to be, if that's what she wants to be. And that's what she wanted to be. You can't say on one hand, yes, we're not arguing that he was beating the crap out of her. We didn't even question her when she said anything about hitting. We didn't even question her when she said anything about getting beat up, but she wanted this. What? The defense attorney also knocked down the government's assertion made in prosecutors' closing arguments that not all of the freak-offs were consensual. Diddy's lawyer said, how was he supposed to know? That's a real quote. That's what he said as a quote. All the freak-offs were consensual. How is he supposed to know which ones are not? As a 50-something-year-old man, he said there was nothing that she would say to him that was against her will. Yeah, because he was beating the brakes off of her, dog. And she is not, he keep trying to make this about Cassie because that's an emotional pull. If I keep talking about Cassie, then y'all forget that there was 2 other women, and 12 employees that testified against him. So I'm gonna just make this about Cassie, which tells me where Diddy's focus is. You just more mad that Cassie came up here and testified against you more than anything. You're not mad at Jane Doe for testifying. You're not mad at Mia for testifying. You're not mad at the George Kaplan and all these other employees for testifying. You're mad at Cassie. Bro, talk about some of these other people. Y'all ain't got no defense. It's a swinger lifestyle. You think the jury is buying that? I don't. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. I just think that it's just a horrible defense. I think that his lawyers did a horrible job this whole case, in my opinion. I don't think they really had nothing. I think that Diddy's lawyers believed that he was going to take a plea deal. They would get this easy check and go home. And when he said, "Nah, I'm not taking no plea deal. We're going to trial, and I want to go to trial quickly, and I want to go to trial within the next 5 months. I don't want to be in jail for no 3-4 years. I want to go to trial now." They scrambled, and Diddy is probably used to being able to pull the strings. Like, y'all need to get to work. Get to work, man. And so y'all can get it done in 6 months. Get it done. That's a long time. And it's just a rush case. And it's just, he would have been better off pushing this case out for 2-3 years. Even if you got to sit in jail, let's push this for 2 years so I have a chance at the jury just remembering what I did as a celebrity and try to play on the emotions of that. I don't know. But the defense was trash, in my opinion. The defense was super trash. Said in the chat, this goes way deeper than him just beating on a woman. Facts. Bro, you got, and there's cases that, the reason that this case is important as well is because there's instances that Diddy has been accused of this, but it has nothing to do with trafficking or nothing to do with women. Like Diddy been accused of shooting at people and all of the crazy stuff. He got a song, Diddy got a verse, I think it's I Get Money remix, where Diddy says, "Lord knows, but Diddy did it." Cars, jewelry, big homes. Yeah, Diddy did it. Shootouts, coastal beefs. Diddy did it. But my lawyer's so good that Diddy got acquitted. That's a real Diddy. That's real Diddy lyrics. So I think it's just his lawyers is trash in this case. I think they're arrogant. I think that they're smarter than the jury. And I think that they believe that they can manipulate people with just showing him as a celebrity. And like somebody in the chat said earlier, it's not about Diddy being, this is not about Sean Combs, the businessman. This is about Diddy, the bad boy, the freak off warrior. That's what it is, man. So I don't know. That's all we got today. We out of time. I hope that you guys weren't just entertained, but I hope that you guys got some information that you didn't have before off of this live stream. We here live every day between 9 and 11 a.m. on YouTube. So subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button on your way out. And until next time, God bless you guys. I'll see you guys probably tomorrow.